Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ask the Nanny. Today is Monday, June 1st. Can you believe half the year is over already? Really, it's June 1st, 6 months in. So, what have you done with your year? I know that a lot of us have been off from work. We have been in quarantine. We have been uh, missing hugs and kisses from our little ones. But now that everyone is starting to go back to work and moms and dads are working from home, guess what? You're going to have to talk to them because they're going to be around for a while. And if nothing else, um, if you have a new job, you're still going to have to talk, which means that communication is in order. And that's what we're going to talk about on tonight. What to do when. Now, I have my good friend, Glenda. Let me see if I get that right. I got it right this time. This is a mirror effect, so I have to figure out which way I'm pointing. I have my good friend, Glenda Probst. And she is going to introduce herself and tell us a fun fact about herself while I share this video with our groups.
Well, I'm Glenda Probst, and I am a retired nanny. I worked as a nanny for 31 years. I worked as a child care center director for 9 years, so I had 40 years of experience with children and parents and families. And a fun fact about myself. Well, okay, my brother-in-law is my nephew, and my sister is my niece. My sister and I married a nephew and an uncle. They were the same age, okay? But sisters married an uncle and a nephew.
Uncle
You didn't know that about me, did you?
I'm just like, you know what? Because for a minute there, it sounded like something else. And I was like, wait a minute, what are you talking about?
Like my family tree just goes straight up?
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, so, well, hold on. Because it sounded like some all in the family stuff going on, but it really is all in the family.
Right.
So
it's all in the family. It's all legal. Yeah. So that's my fun fact, and it's not really a secret. It's just, that's just my life.
It just is. So. Okay. Well, let's get started.
But you were talking about communication.
Yes. Let's get started with our communication, because I know we will probably have plenty of questions, and we will want to be able to answer as many questions as possible. So, the importance of communication. Let's start there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, communication is the foundation for every relationship you have in your life. Whether it's your spouse, it's your friend, it's your parents, it's your family, it's your employer, it's your neighbor. Communication is the foundation of a relationship that you have. And if you don't have a good foundation, then you're not going to have a good relationship, because you have to have communication. You have to communicate, and you have to know how to communicate with someone respectfully, but still get your point across, and still let your voice be heard, and still stand in your own power to get what you want and what you need. And I think that with nannies, a lot of times they're intimidated by their employer because they think, well, they're a doctor, or they're a lawyer, or they're, freeze, and I'm just a nanny. And so, I don't want to say that, or they might not think they might not understand if I say that. But we have to understand that in order to have a good communication, good relationship with our employers, we have to be able to communicate with them. We have to talk about what they need as well as what we need, because a good relationship is built on mutual respect. So it's not all of it you're about your employer saying to you, you're going to do this and you're going to do this and you're going to do this and you're going to do this. And it's not about you saying, I'm not going to do that and I'm going to do this and I'm not going to do that. It's about talking about what both of you need from this relationship in order to make it work. And then the children should be the focus of how that relationship is going to work. And what their needs are and how you're going to meet their needs should be your top priority.
Exactly.
So those are the things that you should start talking about in the very first interview. You should start laying that communication foundation from the very first interview. Because if you go into an interview and you can't ask your potential employer questions that you have trouble asking them, when are you going to do that? When are you going to feel comfortable? You have to ask the uncomfortable questions in the beginning, because once they hire you, that's not the time to go back and say, oh, I forgot to ask you this. So, you have to be prepared for for your interview, and you have to cover those hard conversations in the interview process when they're just questions. But then you have to establish ongoing communication. It doesn't just happen. It's something that grows over time, but it has to start somewhere, and you have to start building that foundation. And you both have to talk about it, and you both have to be on the same page about what your goals are and about what you want.
So it's not
Okay?
just a one-time conversation. It's an ongoing
No, it's
dialogue
ongoing
every day, because you're there with
every
that
day.
child every day. And that child's going to do something every day. Mom's going to want to know, how was your day? And you need to be able to talk to them
Mm-hmm.
and have those
And
ask those difficult questions.
And there are a lot of ways to communicate that aren't just sitting down one-on-one and saying, okay, now we need to talk about this and we need to talk about this. You need to have a lot of different tools to be able to communicate with your employers. So some employers just write notes back, and nannies just write notes back and forth to each other. My employers and I always just and they would write notes to me and I would write notes back to them. And, we had like a little sheet that you fill out that's, this is what they did, this is what we did, and this is what he ate, and this is how many bowel movements he had. Those kinds of communications are like daily communications that are just routine that you should be having with your employer, so everybody knows what the children are doing and what's happening with them, and if they're having new developments or they're learning new, what they're learning, and those kinds of things. But then you should also have they have like nanny diaries, like our nanny diaries, and things like that, where
Yes.
you have sheets where you can, when they're actually things you can buy. You don't have to create them anymore. You can actually buy things to help you communicate with your employers. You can do phone calls back and forth, now, and every nanny is different about how every employer is different. Some employers don't want you to call them at work.
Uh-oh, we lost her. But continuing what she was saying, as far as communication is concerned, you need to have more than one way of communicating with your employer. And that includes, I used to make a little My Day. And it's just like my nanny diary, our nanny diary.
Mm-hmm.
I used to make a little My Day for communication
Mm-hmm.
and had a list of things on there. Okay, we ran out of diapers. We need more diaper cream. We need more formula. We need more whatever we need. some more wet wipes. I had a little
Yeah,
checklist.
and that's communication.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they
And
would
that's
put
one form of communication,
right.
right? Because you don't want to just assume that they know they're out of diapers or that they know they need formula. You don't want to, you should never just assume that. You should be communicating about those things. And maybe they do know that they need diapers, but you need to be sure that they know.
Because you're going to be the one
Okay.
that's left there at the house with the baby with no diapers. And that will be the right
That's
time
right.
when he comes and says, okay, I got a blowout. We have no diapers.
That's right.
So what you going to do?
And and you know, and you some employers are fine with you calling, and some employers don't want you to call them at work during the day. So, those are the kinds of questions that you need to communicate about. You all need to be on the same page about what your communication is going to be. What's it going to look like? And again, those are things that hopefully you do in the beginning. But if you don't do them in the beginning, then you need to start doing them. You need to find ways to start doing them. If you haven't been doing those things and you're having communication issues, these are the kinds of things that you should bring up at a parent meeting, that you can just say, I I was thinking we could do this, and that would help us communicate, because you're busy and then I come in and I'm busy with the kids. And so I was thinking that if we had a journal, or we had this notebook, or we had this diary that we could keep track of things with, then we could have better communication. So, some of it is on you. You have to take a little bit of responsibility for making sure that those things happen.
And because both of you all are responsible for communicating, there is text messaging, there's the Our Nanny Diaries, there is the baby app. There are baby apps that you can, because I know the last three families that I've had, babies and twins, we have used an app so we can keep up with them. So there's more than one way of communicating, but you have to be proactive in communicating. You have to basically let mom and dad know this is what's going on, and this is how what's going to happen.
Wonder if I could
Because
move
sometimes
some
they
things.
don't know. So you have to tell and let them know we're going to communicate. I have the app. I have the sheets. I have, we have text messages. We have emails. I communicate. I send pictures back and forth so that parents know what. I don't even have to say a word. They know. They can look at the picture. They can look at the video and tell this is what my child is doing today. And it's a form of communication. But you have to be proactive, because I've even had grandparents ask me, well, I didn't get a picture today. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let me pull it back up and send it to them, because grandparents want to be communicated with too. It just depends on the family dynamics that you are in, as to whether you have mom and dad, or you have mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles. What I've had pictures that went all the way to England, and when mom and dad or grandparents came and said, "Oh, you're Angela. You're the one that sent us all the pictures." Yes, it's a form of communication. They feel like they already know me and know my style and know what I do with their child because of the pictures that I have sent them. So be proactive in your communication. I'm not sure what's going on with Glenda's camera today. But anyway, on with the communication topic. Now, consistency is crucial. We always tell kids, you always tell parents, be consistent, be consistent, be consistent. You have to be consistent too. And far as communicating, parents will forget, they get busy, they get tired, they have baby brain. And those of you who work with newborns and little toddlers, infants and toddlers, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say baby brain, because the it just gets sucked all out of them. So when mom and dad don't remember, if you have it written down, or you sent them a text message, or you sent a picture, you got three or four different reminders to saying, okay, this is what I was telling you about, or this is what's happening today. This little Johnny needs cookies for his project tomorrow at school. They're supposed to bring cookies, and you have three or four different communications. Mom and dad may communicate with you and say, "Well, can you pick them up for me?" So you have to be ready for that too. Now, as far as sorry, I'm getting my notes over here. Um, you have to communicate because parents are at home now. You have to create a schedule so that you and the kids and mom and dad can stand one another. And when I say stand one another, because sometimes the child sees mom and dad and they want to cling and they want to run to mom and dad. You need to sit down and have a talk or communicate some kind of way during nap time or whatever it is. Communicate with them and say, look, little Johnny is clinging to you, and I know it hurts your heart when he's crying when you leave him. Let's create a schedule so that we can uh, send me a text message and we'll conveniently walk around to the other room so that you can come in the kitchen, fix you something to eat, and go back upstairs or go back to your office without him seeing, without it being a massive breakdown, a massive tantrum of I want my mama. And I know I've worked with stay at home parents. Most of my parents in my nanny career have been stay at home parents, either the mom or the dad. So I'm familiar with making a schedule. I'm familiar with communicating. I'm familiar with asking questions. But you have to ask the questions, even if you are shy and you feel like, well, they might get mad at me. Well, what if something happens to that child and you didn't tell the parents what was going on? And then it gets worse. Communication. You need to be able to communicate with them and tell them what they need to know when they need to know it, and not be afraid to tell them, because sometimes when you hold out, it jeopardizes you, your job, and that child. So don't be afraid to communicate, just plain and simple. And shoot, acting crazy. Okay, now, mom and dad. Oh, there she is. Hi, Glenda. Are you back? I think she's still having problems. Okay, so take the time to, at the end of the day, I know you're ready to go. Take the time to sit down and tell mom and dad, little Johnny did this today, he did that today, he did this today, he did that today. Make sure you use the sandwich method. And when I say the sandwich method, I mean you tell them something good. What he did, oh, it was so wonderful. And then you put the little bad parts in there, and then you end with something great and say, but we worked it out, and he did this, and after nap time, he was just his day just exploded. And that way, mom and dad hear you. You got all your message in, the good and the bad, and they come to the table with solutions too. If little Johnny's having a problem with something, Come to the table with some solution. Don't just come to the table and say, well, he did this today, he did that today, and what you gonna do about it? Don't have that type of attitude of what you're gonna do about it. Have a solution to the problem when you come to the table. Be able to say, well, I think we should try this, or I can suggest this. Would you like to try? Would you like to try it with me? Make it a suggestion, not a we need to tell him he needs to do this, because it's all in your attitude. It's all in your presentation. And I know you all know how to dress up a conversation with little kids. You have to dress it up with parents too, because no parent wants to hear that they have a bad child. No parent wants to hear your child got on my last nerve. So you know how to address parents. You know how to get your point across. And if you don't, call me. I can help you with that situation, give you some suggestions, give you some lead-in sentences and some follow-up sentences of how to handle that instead of blowing up or telling mom and dad off as if they're bad parents. Miss Glenda?
I'm here.
I'm waiting
Can
on
you hear
you.
me? Can you see me? I'm
I can
so
hear
sorry.
you. I can hear you and see you. I understand you're out at the lake. I wish I was
I'm
there.
so sorry. I just
And she froze again. Okay. So if you need help with that, contact me. Give me, let me know. I can give you some lead in sentences. I can give you some lead out sentences and some scenarios of what may happen, what you may want to suggest to your parents. Okay, we're gonna try this again. Are you there, Linda?
I'm here, but it keeps kicking me off. You have my notes, so I'm gonna
Yes.
say, why don't you just go ahead and go with them? I
Okay.
feel terrible, but I don't know what to do.
Well, just talk while you're here.
I'm gonna try to just come in on Facebook, okay?
Okay.
I mean, I won't be on, but I'll still be here, okay?
Okay. That's fine.
Let me try that. Okay, I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
No, no, you're fine. You're fine. So, as a live-in nanny, don't take everything so personally. Don't be when mom and dad tell you something, don't take it personal, because you never know what kind of day they have had. So when they start talking to you, listen to understand, not to respond. There's a difference. When you listen to understand, you hear the hurt and you feel their pain, as opposed to when you're listening to you, it's like a tennis match. Okay, she's getting ready to hit the ball. Here it comes, and she swung, and it's coming at you, and it's coming at you, and it's your time to swing. You didn't hear anything past what she said. The first statement she said. She could have been apologizing to you for it, and that was she started out here and came on down and was apologizing along the way, but you didn't hear past that accusatory, uh, what sounded like you as an accusatory remark. You're so ready to volley. You're so ready to swing back at it. Take the time to listen, to understand, instead of listening to respond. There's a different attitude in listening to respond than there is in listening to understand than it is listening to respond. When you listen to understand, you show grace, and sometimes your tone will set the mood. If they're upset and then you go back upset, then both of y'all just banging heads. But if they're upset and you stay calm, usually it brings the atmosphere down, it calms the atmosphere, and then they are ready to listen to understand instead of listening to respond. So you can make all the difference in that conversation instead of getting angry and just like, okay, I hear what you're saying. You're saying this, 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 and this. Am I correct? And then you say, well, I understand what you're saying. Can I suggest something? Can I tell you something? Or just come in with gentle ease and rest them, get them their mind off of whatever's going on at work or whatever's going on in the other parts of their life. Because most of the time, when you get a chance to talk to mom and dad, it's either early in the morning or late in the evening. They're rushing out the door, or they have come in and they've had a horrible day, and you come into them with something, it just adds to it. So be sensitive to that. Now, I'm trying to see if we had any questions or comments, and we don't. And hello to everyone who is watching. Now, another thing in communicating is when your daily schedule, if you have to change your daily schedule, communicate with your parents that it is that you changed, or you change plans, or you're doing something totally different, because you never know which one of their friends. I saw your I saw your child and your nanny over here at so and so and so. They weren't supposed to be over there. And then mom is suspicious. What are you doing over there? Why you told me you were going here? You told me you were going there. You didn't say you were going over there. Make sure you communicate. And don't just say, well, change the plans. We're going here. Let them know why your plans change. It was raining outside when we got ready to go. And we had to change our plans so we can play inside. So we went to this place instead of that place. You never know. Sometimes parents will surprise you. So be ready. I've worked with lots of stay-at-home moms, a lot of work from home moms and dads. And if we're on to the zoo or we're going to a museum, I've had parents show up and say, surprise. And the kids are all excited. It caught me off guard. I'm like, oh, okay. So don't be surprised if they show up. And if you didn't communicate with them that you were moving, going somewhere else, and they show up and pay money to get in there to surprise you, oh, they're going to be upset. I promise you that. They will definitely be upset. So make sure you communicate. If something happens and your day has to change, that you are communicating with them and letting them know plans change. We're going here instead. And this is what time estimate time that we'll be home. Now, some of us have free reign to go and do whatever we want to, as long as the kids are safe and whatever. But some parents are not like that. If you have that set of parents, make sure you communicate. It creates harmony instead of discord. It keeps you all on the same page instead of, why did you take my child there? Who told you to take my child there? I've had parents like that. I learned my lesson the first time. The next time, and that every time, I don't care if it, oh, I don't care. You can take it anywhere you want to. Yes, but I'm letting you know where I am. And then for safety purposes, you need to let them know where you are and what you're doing. Because I remember back when I worked in DC, and when that sniper was going crazy in DC. Mom called me and she said, "Where are you?" I said, "We went for a walk, like I told you." She said, "Are you close to the house?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Get to the house. There's a crazy man shooting and whatever. Go to the house." So I was close to the house. I was where I was supposed to be. And even though she told me I could take the child anywhere I wanted to, but I was close to the house. I went where I was supposed to be, and we got back to the house. And it just so happened 2 miles up the road, somebody got shot. And it was in the opposite direction that we had come from, but it was still close enough to scare me. So be sure, for safety reasons, that you communicate and tell your parents where you going. Hello, Mitches. How are you? So that being said, safety reasons is another reason for communicating. Um, let's see. Sometimes parents don't even realize that what they're doing is upsetting to us. It's so true. We see things totally different than parents do. I've had parents tell me, "My children mind you better than they mind me." And they tell me, well, and it upsets parents when the child is clinging to you at the end of the day and you're trying to leave and they want to leave with you and they start crying for you. It kind of upsets parents, especially moms, when that baby wants to leave with you. Now you see it as, you know, "Oh, he loves me. I'm so glad that he's, attached. We have that bond." But mom and dad don't see it that way. Sometimes moms are jealous of the bonds that we have with the kids and they may snap at us. And it's not meant to snap at us, but that feeling that comes over them, it's like just a minute of rage. Why is he so attached to you? Why does he love me like he loves you? Moms who are going through postpartum, and trust me, postpartum does not end at the 6 week checkup. I promise you that. When they're going through postpartum, it can last up to over a year. But just be sensitive to parents because they don't know it's upsetting them. But then you have to come back and explain to them, "I did not mean to do this. I didn't mean to upset you. I was only doing this. I was only doing that." And once you put out that fire, more than likely they will apologize. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to snap. I just had a long day. There's always something behind it. Don't just automatically think that your parents are getting on your nerves for just because they can. Sometimes it's not that way. Most of the time, it's not that way. Give them some grace, extend some grace to them. They don't understand that what you're saying to me is upsetting me. So give them some grace and don't assume that they can read your mind. Don't assume, well, you should know better. They should know better than that. No, they shouldn't know better. They don't know that's how you feel about it. And unless you tell them how you feel about certain things, and there are ways for you to tell them without going off on them, without, flipping the bird and flipping your lips and all that other stuff, there are ways to tell them that you are upset without getting nasty. Constructive criticism is one thing. Nagging and backbiting and purposely hurting someone is another. They call themselves, telling you, "Well, I need you to do this, and this." And you're thinking, "I already did that. And I did this and I did that, but you didn't look and you didn't see this and you didn't." They don't know that because they haven't checked. They don't know that because something else is going on in the back of their mind. I promise you, a lot of things can be avoided. A lot of misunderstandings can be avoided if you open your mouth and communicate. Because the more you communicate, the more you talk and get an understanding of one another, the more you understand their personality, you'll understand, oh, she's having a bad day. You'll you watch that child and you watch that child's patterns. Parents have the same similar things. They have patterns too. Everyone has a pattern. I don't care who they are. I am trained on observations. I watch, I look, I notice things. You do the same things with the kids. That's how you know that they're on target with their growth and development. Parents do the same thing. So when you get to know them and get to know their little quirks, you know how to speak to them. Okay, well, she's not, having a good day. So let me gently ease into this. Now it's not the time to joke about it. And let me gently ease into it because, you know, your joke may go the wrong way. So know your parents, get to know them, speak up, talk to them, and once you get to know their personality, you know how to handle the situation better. But if you stay quiet and you don't say anything and you don't let them know that they're hurting your feelings, they'll continue to hurt your feelings. They'll continue on the same path that they're going, and you thinking, well, they should know better. They should be doing this, and they don't know. They just assume that you agree to it. They just assume that it's okay because you didn't say anything. If you don't say anything, if you talking to me and I don't say anything, and you just go and you just assume that I agree with you because I didn't say anything. But inside, if I'm raging and saying, "Oh heck no, I don't agree with that," but I'm too scared to tell you that. I'm too scared to say, "Well, actually, I like doing things a little bit different. I like for things to be done this way. You like them done this way. How about we compromise? How can we compromise on this and both of us be happy with the outcome?" So open your mouth or you will assume that you agree, even when you strongly disagree. So just saying, learn how to stand up for yourself. When you finally have the opportunity to sit, talk to the parents about concerns or problems, here are some suggestions for making the most of the opportunity. Be prepared. Have some questions. Have it written down. Know what you're going to say. Know how you're going to say it. Learn to distinguish between what is important and what is not important. Rambling on, not important. Get to the point. Directly to the point. I know some of us have a backstory, and sometimes that backstory is necessary. But at the end of the day, and a parent is tired, your backstory is not going to be received as you think it might because they are tired and they're like, okay, come on, get to the point. I'm ready for you. I'm ready to go eat. I'm ready to go uh, take a shower. I'm ready to go exercise. I'm ready to go do whatever I need to do. So be sure you get to the point. Write it down so you won't forget. Because when I go for an interview, I have questions because and as they're talking, I'm sitting here with my notebook and I'm checking out. Okay, what's that question? They answered that question. Okay, I know the answer to that question. And sometimes just in conversation, they answer most of my questions. And even if they answer most of my questions, I have questions. I want to know about them. This is me interviewing you as well as you interviewing me, we need to get to know each other to see if we are a right fit, not just because you dangle a nice sum of money in front of me. That doesn't mean that we're a right fit. That just means that, yes, it's a good, you're paying a good salary, but that doesn't mean that you and I fit right. Know your parents. A good question to ask is about parenting styles. Know how they discipline their child. Know what they want for their child. Even if they don't know what they want for their child, ask them anyway. Make them start thinking about what they want for their child. Come up with have some suggestions. Are you this type of parent? Do you like disciplining your child? Are you because some parents still, I still get it to this day. If they don't act right, you have my permission to spank their little bottoms. And I'm looking at them like, that won't be happening. Make sure you know what type of parent they are. You may not agree with their parenting style. And you all will start knocking heads because mama will let that child do one thing when you say no. Well, what's wrong with him doing this? And it will come across as, why aren't you backing me up? I said no, he can't do this because it is dangerous. And mom and dad may let them do it all the time. If you all are having that headbutt, you that's questions you need to ask before you get into the nanny position. You ask those questions, write them down beforehand, and you ask them at the interview. It's just an interview question. If it's after you started working, then it's an issue. There's a difference. You don't want a situation. And try not to place blame. Don't play the blame game. Well, if you hadn't done this, then he wouldn't have done this. If you hadn't done this, then she wouldn't have done that. If you hadn't done this, then I would have done this, or I would have had this, or don't do the blame game. It's not a pretty picture. Communicate. Okay, I see. I understand what you're saying. So how can, and have some suggestions in mind. Go to the table with some suggestions in mind. Figure it out. Um, Linda says, my boss, let me show this. My boss used to come home and I gave the baby a bath and put him in clean sleeper. She would say, oh, he's been in pajamas all day. Now, to me, that would come across as, I just gave this baby a bath. I tried my best to make it easier for you when you got home from work so you didn't have to bathe him. You didn't have to do all this. I got him ready and he's nice and clean and smelling good for you. And you come and tell me that he's been in pajamas all day after I've sent you pictures and you've seen that he's not been in pajamas all day. That can be very offensive, but they're not thinking like that. They're not, their brain is not uh, functioning on that. All they see is the baby's in pajamas. Well, the baby was in pajamas when I left. So be ready to get some grace. And when they say that, oh, the baby's been in pajamas all day. No, do you remember the picture I sent you? He had on this, he had on that, and we went to the park and we did this, and we just had a real sweaty day. We were outside playing and getting all dirty. So I decided, instead of you coming home from work tired and uh, needing to eat, that I would take one step out of your day. I just took the initiative and I gave him a bath and I got him clean for you. And here's your nice, clean baby. That conversation changes at that point. Mom would go, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's right. He wasn't. So he was. You did send me pictures." And that conversation changes. And the next time you do it, which some of you probably won't, because she's like, she gonna come home and say that I had him in pajamas all day. I hear your brain thinking. Sometimes going the extra mile, even when you think it's not being appreciated. I'm a giver, and I like doing the extra mile, even if it may not be come across as they don't appreciate anything I do. I tried this and I tried that. It's not that. Your parents have been working all day, just like you have been working all day. They're ready to come home and relax, just like you are. And when they see the baby in the pajamas, that's the first thing that hits their brain. So, again, extend some grace, communicate, let them know what's going on. And the next time you decide to do that and they come home, "Oh, thank you so much for bathing my baby. Oh, he smells so good." That could be a totally different conversation. But you know how you need to communicate that and communicate it the right way so that it won't become a stick in your ribs every time she says something. You feel that jab. Communication will smooth that right around. But then it says, let me put, I would put remain calm, and I would just remain calm and say, no, he had a bath. Eventually, she stopped. See, I hadn't even read that, but same answer. Eventually, she stopped. It's all about communication. It's all about what you're saying and what you're doing. So, let me see. I think I have one last point because we're almost out of time. Um, let's see. Okay. When you write things down, your employer sees it. Your mom boss, dad boss see it, and they know that these are things that are important to you. So when you're sitting there and you ticking off your list of things of what's important to you, they're like, "Oh, she took the time to write this down. She's serious." Yes, you're serious. And you're coming to them in a serious manner. You're coming to them and you're being a professional by talking to them about it and not talking behind their back about it. There's nothing worse than going to someone who has an attitude and you tell them what happened. They've already had something happen to them. "Oh, girl, they just doing this. They're just doing that. You need to quit. You need to do this. You need to do that." And you listen to them instead of being the professional and going to talk to them about it first before you make any rash decisions. Go and talk to them first. A conversation, and you can just squash all that misunderstanding, because I know misery loves company. And if one of your nanny friends has had a bad day and you come and tell them about your day and they pile their emotions from what happened to them on top of what has happened to you and make you feel like, girl, they just disrespecting you, they're just doing this, and make you feel even worse. And then you start feeling like, well, yeah, they are disrespecting me. Yeah, they're not listening to me. Yeah, don't go there. Misery loves company. Take the high road, be a professional, talk to them about it. I'm not saying don't vent to your friends, but vent to the friends who are going to give you wise advice, not the ones who's always jumping on the bandwagon. "Girl, you need to quit. You need to do this. You need to do that." Mm-mm. If those are all the friends that you have, you need to move to another friend circle. because someone that is has your back will talk to you, empathize with you, and say, "Well, how about you do this? Or how about you do that? Did you talk to them? Did you do this?" They try to talk you down off the ledge instead of throwing you out there and booting you off the ledge. You don't want that. Get the ones that will talk to you and are reasonable and will listen to you, and you know it's sound advice. Linda says, go in with an idea of what you want the outcome to be. Yes. If you know what you want the outcome to be, speak those words. I have strong belief that words have power. And if you go in and you say, well, I would like to do this, or I would like to have that, and this is why I would like to have this, and this is what, give them your explanation as to what, become that 4-year-old negotiator. That's what I call my 4-year-olds. They're negotiators because they can tell you what they want it, why they need to have it, and why you need to give it to them. And most of the time, they make perfect sense. And if you're not in your right mind, I promise you, these little 4-year-olds, you know, I call them negotiators. I had a whole class full of them, but they made sense. They thought about it. They had an answer for everything that I asked them. They had it logically thought out. They had an explanation. That's what you've got to do. You got to become that 4-year-old and have your game tight so that when you go and talk to your employer, you know what you want, you know the outcome that you want, and be willing to compromise. But there are times when you need to stick to your guns and you need to know the difference between the two. Now, on that note, um, I'm done with my discussion on communication, but I want you all to join me here on Wednesday at 3 p.m. I am going to have um, Maria Cully and Helen McCarthy and Shada um, Lambert here. They're from the UK, and we're talking about UK Nannies Matter campaign. Now, you don't have to be from the UK to sign the petition. They have a petition going around, and they're going to come on and they're going to talk to us about the UK, the Nannies Matter campaign. Now, just as sure as they're doing it over there, we probably need to jump on the bandwagon. This is one you want to jump on because we are nanny sisters and we need to band together. Because if standards are going to change, we wanted to change everywhere, not just in one little section. Oh, we respect nannies over here. Oh, we disrespect them over there. No, we want nannies everywhere to be respected. We want everybody to know that we matter, that we are professionals and not just the hired help. We are professionals. We don't take all these classes. We don't go and get all this education and better ourselves and take on professional development and go to these conferences and pay all this money to get our credentials and everything just to say, oh, sorry. So meet me back here on Wednesday at 3 p.m. for a special edition of Ask the Nanny. Now, tomorrow night is trivia night with U.S. Nanny Association. We having game night and we have prizes. And I'm so excited. I'm gonna see how smart I am. Are you smarter than your peers? We shall see. And join us Thursday. Ask the Nanny and Nanny Shars have come together for the Nanny Hookup. Now, the Nanny Hookup is a new, similar to Ask the Nanny, but we're going to be on Instagram at 3 p.m. on Thursday. And we have to, the reason we're on at that time is because she's in the UK, I'm in the US. So we had to combine that time and, find a good time for both of us to be where we need to be. So join us all this week. I'll be here all week long on Wednesday at on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will be here with you on Wednesday at 3 p.m. No, 2:30 p.m. and on Thursday at 3 p.m. So I'll be here. I'll be advertising. So follow me. And if you haven't done so already, go to my page, like the Ask the Nanny page. Go to youtube.com, like the Ask the Nanny channel. You can find this video along with other archived videos of Ask the Nanny, some recipes, some children's books, and some fun talks, activities on my channel. So please go and subscribe. It's youtube.com/Ask the Nanny. Now, I will see you all tomorrow night, and you all have a great week. Thank you, Glenda. I'm so sorry that your internet got cut off, but thank you for being here with me and sharing your notes. And I hope I did your notes justice with my commentary on your notes. So, like I said, we will see you all on. Uh, Thank you. I will see you all tomorrow night and the rest of the week. So, you all have a great evening.